So to present the Legislative Leadership Award is Dr. Andrew Ray, the Grand Basileus of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Incorporated. I'd like to bring forward Dr. Ray, who will present the award to another esteemed participant this evening, Congressman John Clyburn. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ray.
When you get what you want in your struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day, just go to a mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your parents, your wife, or your children upon whose verdict you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. People may call you a straight-shooting chum and say that you're a wonderful guy. But the man in the glass says you're only a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest. For he's with you clear up to the end. And you passed your most dangerous and difficult test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of life and get pats on your back as you pass. But your final reward will be heartaches and tears if you cheat the man in the glass. James Clyburn is a man who looks in the mirror every day. And for sure, he has not cheated that man. To all of the supporters, Michael Bowles, the Mountaintop Group, we thank all of you for taking this opportunity to pay tribute to a good man, a man who's done so much. A quiet man, but a man who gets a lot done. We know that in history, sometimes the most mild-mannered men get most of the things done. James Clyburn reminds me of my professor at the university when I was working on my doctorate. He asked me a question. He said, "What's the golden rule?" I said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." He says, "What's the political golden rule?" I said, "Same thing." He said, "Nope, the political golden rule is, he who has the gold makes the rule." So James Clyburn is in the legislative body, he makes the rule. So it's so important that we, this year especially, with voter suppression and all of the kind of activities going on in this country, a man like James Clyburn is a treasure for this nation. We should not take it lightly. So for all of us, looking at his resume, knowing he's worked with the NAACP and been president, led that organization in his locale, his station in life, and look at what he has done on the national stage, we cannot help but say, job well done. So to all of our guests and to my good friend, Dr. Haynes, we were in school together, by the way, and while we were pledging, I brought him over. I had to put him on my shoulder. But James Clyburn has put all of us on his shoulder. And so at this moment in time, before we present the Mountaintop Award, James Clyburn, I would like for you to come forward at this moment, because the men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity worldwide, I flew in to make this particular award because of this man. We had a custom-made instrument for him, a writing instrument. We won't take it out here, but it's for James to continue to write another chapter in the legislative history of this nation. So we want to present a personal honor to him from the worldwide membership of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. So James, this is for you, my brother, from all the men of Omega.
Thank you.
and the men of Omega are standing, and also my brother Pinkston is standing also. He is indeed a frater. And at this time also, we would like to make the presentation for the Leadership Award from the Mountaintop Group to the Honorable, our man in the U.S. Congress, our man who stood at the front line for making a difference in the lives of so many, whether at historically black colleges, whether it's at the universities across this nation. This man has made the difference. So with that, I would like to present at this time, please join me in presenting to Representative Clyburn this Mountaintop Award for the legislative leadership in this nation. Join me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ray and my brothers in Omega. Thank you so much for this presentation and introduction here this evening. Let me begin by thanking all of my colleagues who are here, especially those who have been honored here. Donald Payne, thank you so much for your tremendous leadership. I started out this morning early apologizing to Don Payne because I didn't get to a breakfast I was supposed to share with him this morning, but I reminded him that I got there yesterday. I had it wrong on my calendar, but I want to thank you all for honoring Don. No one has done as much for building relationships on the continent of Africa as Donald Payne, and I thank him so much for that. Now, Mr. Master of Ceremony, you call me John Clyburn. Now, John Clyburn is here. That's my brother. And it's kind of interesting. This is the second time that I've gotten what I consider to be a very significant award, and I was introduced as John. Something wrong with that. But I like him. He's all right. My mom used to tell me, son, you're known by the company you keep. And I think she'd be very proud to see me being honored tonight among all of these honorees. You all are a great company for me to be in, and I thank you so much, and I congratulate each and every one of the honorees here this evening for their recognition. Now, I'm not going to give a speech. I know all y'all want to know what's going on with the Committee of 12, the so-called super committee. And if the truth be known, I want to know what's going on too. But I want to, if I may, because of what I have been experiencing in recent weeks, share with you a little anecdote to make a point here this evening. My brother John is here. We've got one other brother, Charles. And we grew up pretty close to each other. I'm 2 years, 2 months older than John. He's 2 years and 2 months older than Charles. And as you can imagine, growing up so close together, we often had disagreements. And one day when we were having a little disagreement, the three of us were instructed by my father to kind of go off across the field and play. And when we did, before long, that disagreement became physical. Now, some of you all may call it a fight. It was just a physical discussion. And we didn't know it, but my daddy was watching us. And when he thought it had gone on long enough, he called out to the three of us and asked us to come over, and he stood the three of us in front of him. And he had in his hands a piece of cord string. He gave that piece of cord string first to my youngest brother, Charles, and said, Charles, I want you to pop this string. Charles struggled and struggled, and he couldn't pop it. He then took it back and he gave it to my brother John and said, now, John, you're older, and you're the strongest. You pop the string. John struggled and struggled, and he couldn't pop it. He then took it back and he gave it to me. He said, now, James, you're the oldest and you're the strongest. You pop the string. I struggled, but I couldn't pop it. He then took that piece of cord string back, and he put it in the palms of his hands, and he began to rub his hands together. And of course, the more he rubbed, the more friction he created. And the more friction he created, the more unraveled the cord string became. And it was not long before that piece of cord string was in 3 pieces. He then gave one to Charles, one to John, and one to me, and said, now, sons, pop the strings. With very little effort, all 3 of us popped the strings. He said, now I want this to be a lesson to you for as long as you live. Don't you let the little disagreements that crop up among you cause so much friction until it separates you. Because if you do, the world will pop you apart, and you may never know why. As I travel around this great country, I'm detecting that we are allowing our disagreements to cause too much friction. And if we allow that to happen, irrespective of what we may do in this little super committee, if we allow our disagreements to cause too much friction until we are separated, after next year, I pity to think of what the end result will be. Let's get together and let's get it done. Thank you. Look, these people know your real name. I know. Y'all know his name? Cass? Huh?
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. Michael is masquerading.